Welcome to the Real Talk with Megan podcast, where we have candid conversations about the things that matter most. I'm your host, Megan, and we're going to deep dive into the topic of mental health. Together, we'll work to destigmatize mental health and start conversations. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready for a real and raw conversation about mental health on the Real Talk with Megan podcast. Hey friends, welcome back to Real Talk with Megan. Today's episode is a little bit different, and honestly, it's bittersweet. This is actually going to be the last official episode of the podcast. I know, it kind of feels strange to say it out loud. But while this is the end of an era, it's also the beginning of something new, and I want to spend this time celebrating all that's happened and sharing what's next, and most of all, saying thank you. I started this podcast in 2023, which stemmed from, if you've been here since the beginning, you would know it came from the blog that I used to write. And I never knew what the blog or even this podcast would have become, and I would have never imagined it got to the place it did. I mean, when I think back, I just always think about I was this girl from a really small town, like really small town, and I just had a heart to create things. I needed an outlet to create things, and this gave me a space to create a safe space for conversations that really mattered. And talking openly about mental health and faith was so important to me. I could have never imagined the journey that this would take me on. And there have been so many special moments along the way. Some of my absolute favorite moments were with my friend Joni. You all know she may have popped up more than once on episodes, and those conversations were always so life giving to me and encouraging. They were filled with laughter and honesty, and I am so grateful for those moments. And then there was Emily, my most recent guest. And I have to say, it felt like the perfect note to end on. That conversation was so rich, so healing, and it honestly felt like God had orchestrated it in kind of a closing gift for me and for you. Now, if you haven't listened to it, go back to the episode before this one and listen to it. It's so good. She's incredible, and you definitely want to hear from her. Through every episode, I learned something new, not just about my guests, but about myself too. This podcast became the place where I could be the most open. I've spent my whole life wearing a mask, but behind this mic, I could take that mask off. I could talk freely about the things that I'm passionate about, especially when it comes to mental health. If there is one thing that I am most proud of, it's that we brought light to different areas of mental health that aren't always talked about. Sure, there are more conversations to be had. I know I did not have as many conversations as I wish I did, but I am so thankful that there are others out there continuing that work. But here, our goal was simple: to remind you that you're not alone and to start a conversation. Through every story, I hope someone listening might realize that everyone's going through something. And it's okay to talk about the things that make us uncomfortable. Even if just one person felt a little less alone because of the podcast, then every minute was worth it. Hosting Real Talk with Megan changed me more than I ever expected. My confidence has grown so much. I never thought my story mattered. And honestly, I used to think that I didn't even have a story. My life felt pretty uneventful growing up, but the times that I've heard from people that something I shared helped them, that's more than I could have ever imagined or hoped for. It also grew my faith. This space gave me permission to ask questions and to be okay with not having every answer. And through it, I've stepped more fully into my purpose. As Christ followers, we're called to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves. But how we live that out looks different for each of us. I've learned that God gave me the gift of listening and of seeing things from different perspectives. That gift is so important in counseling, and I'm excited to keep living it out more and more. Now, I can't close this chapter without saying thank you. First, to you, the listeners. I mean, let's be honest, without you, there would be no podcast. You showed up, you listened, you shared episodes with your friends, and you encouraged me along the way. And for that, I will be forever grateful. To my husband, thank you for always supporting me, for listening to my wild ideas, and for putting up with my ADHD brain that never stops spinning. To my friend Joni, you've been such a constant encourager and supporter, not just on this podcast, but in my life. I truly couldn't have done this without you cheering me on, and I am grateful for your friendship every day. And to every single guest who trusted me with their story, you gave us all a special gift, and I'll always be grateful for that. My hope is that you walk away from this podcast knowing just how important it is to take care of your whole self, not just your mental health, but your physical, spiritual, emotional, and relational health too. We are whole beings. Every part matters. So I guess that leaves us with what's next. Well, I'm really excited about the future. First and foremost, I don't know what the future holds completely, but I know that God's in it. And if He's in it, it's going to be more than I could ever imagine, just as this podcast was. But I do know that I'll be spending more time with clients. And honestly, that brings me so much joy. Every time someone sits across from me and trusts me with their story, I count that as a huge honor. It's honestly where I feel most alive, and I know that's where God's calling me right now. Also, just a little plug, I'm working on a devotional. It's nowhere near done. It's at the beginning stages, but this one is specifically made for filmmakers. I've had the chance to work on different sets, and I've seen firsthand how much care those teams need, body and soul. My heart is to encourage and equip them, not just in their craft, but in their wholeness. It's about bringing discipleship and the mental health side together, helping us grow into the healthiest version of ourselves. And don't worry, I'm not disappearing. Even though this podcast is ending, I will never stop advocating for mental health. It just will look a little different. But if you want to keep up with what's ahead, you can always find me on Instagram or TikTok, and my handles will be linked in the show notes. So, friends, this is it. Real Talk with Megan is officially coming to a close. And I feel completely at peace with that. It's the next right step for me, for my family, and for where God is leading. This isn't goodbye forever. It's just the closing of one chapter and turning of the page to the next. And I can't wait to see what God has ahead. Thanks for listening to Real Talk with Megan. And remember, you're not alone. Seeking help is a sign of strength, and taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. While this is the final episode of the podcast, the conversations don't stop here. I am so grateful for each of you who've listened, shared, and walked this journey with me. Keep caring for yourself, keep talking, and keep breaking the stigma. From my heart to yours, thank you. And I can't wait to see what's ahead.